Let's get something straight from the start. Women today aren't unhappy by accident. They were trained to be unhappy, trained to always want more, trained to believe that enough is never enough, trained to measure their worth not by who they are, but by how much attention they can attract. And here's the punch most people are too afraid to say. Happiness was never the goal for modern women. Validation was. See, there was a time, not even that long ago, when happiness came from simple things. Family, partnership, building something real with someone you trust. But that version of fulfillment got replaced, not evolved, not upgraded. Replaced by likes, replaced by attention, replaced by the fantasy of being endlessly desired. And now we have a generation of women who are exhausted, unsettled, and chronically dissatisfied, not because their lives are bad, but because they were told that being normal is failure. Social media told her if she's not the center of attention, if she's not admired, if she's not envied, if she's not that girl, then she's losing. So she wakes up every day competing with women she's never met, trying to live up to standards that don't even exist, chasing a version of herself that isn't real. And the result? Permanent emotional hunger. The modern woman isn't unhappy because she lacks love. She's unhappy because she was conditioned to believe she deserves a life that doesn't exist. Fairy tale romance, luxury lifestyle, endless passion, perfect emotional understanding, attention 24/7, admiration without effort, commitment without sacrifice. It's not that she wants too much, it's that she wants everything, without giving anything real in return. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, she blames the world, she blames men, she blames the wrong time, she blames her job, her friends, her childhood, her stress. But she never looks in the mirror, because that mirror is the enemy. The mirror is where she would have to admit she is not a victim of life. She is a victim of expectation. And here's where it gets dark. You cannot satisfy someone who was raised to never be satisfied. No man can fill that void. No relationship can ground that ego. No amount of attention can cure emotional starvation, because happiness was never the end goal. Being desired was. Being envied was. Being admired was. And desire fades. Admiration fades. Attention always fades. So what happens next? A cycle. Excitement, boredom, dissatisfaction, escape. Dating becomes rotation. Love becomes performance. Commitment becomes optional. And happiness? Happiness isn't even on the radar because she was never taught to seek peace. Only spotlights. Let's talk about the poison that keeps modern women permanently unhappy. Comparison, not the cute kind, not the casual, oh, she's pretty kind. No, I'm talking about the constant psychological warfare happening inside her mind every time she opens her phone. See, women don't compare themselves to reality. They compare themselves to the highlight reel of other women's lives. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest. Every swipe is a reminder of what she isn't. And here's the dark part. Women don't compete for money. They don't compete for careers. They compete for attention. Who's getting more comments? Who's getting flown out? Who's being adored? Who's getting proposed to with a bigger ring? Who's traveling to Bali with a man who looks like he stepped out of a cologne commercial? It's not about happiness. It's about ranking. And when life becomes a scoreboard, joy dies. Because no matter how good she has it, there is always another woman online who looks prettier, happier, more desired, more praised, more wanted. And that comparison is a prison with no exit. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. Women don't just compare themselves to other women, they compare their man. To other men, your relationship could be stable, loyal, peaceful, grounding. But if she sees some influencer's boyfriend surprising her with weekly rose petals, beach trips, and expensive gifts, suddenly you're not trying hard enough, not because you changed, but because her standards were hijacked by digital fantasy, and the algorithm loves this Because the more insecure she feels, the more she consumes. The more she consumes, the more she compares. The more she compares, the more unhappy she becomes. It's not accidental, it's engineered. Unhappiness, highlight engagement. Engagement, product profit. So the system keeps her hungry. Hungry for validation, hungry for attention, hungry for more. And here's where men get crushed. You can't compete with an entire world of imaginary perfection. You can't compete with filters, lighting, angles, photo editing apps, carefully planned lifestyle content, and staged romance scenes designed to go viral. You can't compete with a fantasy, and that's why so many modern women are miserable. Because reality can't compete with the delusion they're addicted to. So what happens? She doesn't appreciate the man who chooses her. She wants the man who would choose her if he had every option. She's not satisfied being loved. She wants to be worshipped, and when admiration becomes the goal, no relationship will ever be enough, because real love is quiet. Real love is stable. Real love is built, not performed. But she wasn't raised to want real love. She was raised to want the love that looks the best to others, and that is the comparison trap, not unhappiness by chance, but unhappiness by design. Let's talk about the most profitable lie ever sold to modern women. You deserve more. This phrase has destroyed more relationships, families, and futures than cheating ever has. Because when a woman hears, "You deserve more," she doesn't hear, "Work on yourself. Appreciate what you have. Build something real." No, she hears, "You are the prize. You are never wrong. You are owed happiness." And the moment she believes that, she stops appreciating anything, because how can you appreciate something you believe you are entitled to? This is where it gets dark. Modern culture didn't just inflate women's egos. It convinced them that discomfort, oppression, that responsibility, toxicity, that commitment or control. So now, the second a relationship hits normal ups and downs, the second the butterflies fade, the second real life replaces the fantasy, she's ready to leave, not because something was wrong, but because she believes she's supposed to always feel excited. And when she doesn't, she thinks something's broken. She thinks you are the problem, not her, never her, because the world keeps telling her, if you're not happy, leave. If you're bored, upgrade. If he's not perfect, replace him. If it's not magical anymore, walk away and reinvent yourself. This isn't empowerment. This is emotional consumerism. Relationships have become shopping. Swipe left, swipe right, try again, throw away, replace. No loyalty, no patience, no depth, just dopamine. And here's the brutal truth. When a woman is constantly told she deserves more, she will never feel satisfied. Because more has no finish line, there will always be a richer man, a more confident man, a more romantic man, a more successful man, a more exciting man. So she keeps reaching, grasping, searching, and in the process, she destroys every good thing she already had. She wasn't unhappy because the relationship was wrong. She was unhappy because she was taught to treat happiness like something someone else gives her, instead of something she builds. This is the tragedy. She wanted a fairy tale. She got reality. So she assumes something is broken, but nothing is broken. She just never learned how to be content, because no one ever told her happiness is not given. Happiness is chosen. And until she learns that, no man, no career, no lifestyle, no dream will ever be enough. She will keep running, right past everything real. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. A lot of modern women aren't addicted to love. They're addicted to emotion, specifically emotional intensity. They don't want peace. They want stimulation. And that's why stability, the very thing that creates a healthy relationship, starts to feel boring to them. Think about it. When she was younger, drama was romantic. Chaos felt exciting. Heartbreak meant the love was real. So when she grows up and finally meets a good, steady man who shows up consistently, doesn't play games, doesn't manipulate her emotions. Instead of feeling safe, she feels nothing, not because he's not enough, but because she never learned how to function without chaos. So what happens? She begins to create problems, little jabs, sarcastic comments, silent treatment tests, emotional withholding, sudden distance. Not because she's evil, but because she needs to feel something. She needs a spike. She needs a push. She needs an emotional roller coaster to feel alive. Peace doesn't stimulate her. Affection doesn't excite her. Consistency doesn't move her, so she mistakes. Calm for boring, stability for no spark, loyalty for weakness, and that's when she says the infamous line, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." Translation, I'm not getting the emotional high I'm addicted to anymore. Here's where it gets painful for men. Men express love through provision, loyalty, effort, presence. Women who are addicted to emotional spikes express love through highs and lows, fights and makeups, chaos and passion. So, the steady man keeps giving more love, and she keeps feeling less. Not because he's doing something wrong, but because her emotional baseline is broken, and once she stops feeling that high, she starts looking elsewhere for the spark. Social media validation, flirty attention at work. The guy who gives her butterflies by being inconsistent. The ex who she knows was bad for her, but still feels exciting. She starts craving unpredictability, because predictability feels empty to her, and the tragedy? She won't realize what she lost until she experiences betrayal, instability, abandonment, or the attention drying up. Because then she'll see the truth. Peace was never boring. Peace was love. Peace was security. Peace was the prize. She just wasn't ready for it. The emotional roller coaster problem is simple. If she needs chaos to feel loved, then no relationship can make her happy. Because happiness requires stability, and stability feels like death to someone addicted to emotional adrenaline. Here's the part everyone pretends not to see. Modern women aren't unhappy because their lives are bad. They're unhappy because someone else's life looks better, and social media turned every woman into a competitor in a game she can never actually win. Picture it. She wakes up. She checks her phone before she even breathes, before her feet touch the floor, before she looks at you, before she remembers her own thoughts. She's scrolling through perfect bodies, vacations, birthdays in Paris, engagement, rings the size of planets, dinners at places she can't pronounce, girls who look happier, prettier, richer, and she compares every single morning. Her life could be good. Her man could be solid. Her home could be loving and peaceful. But peace doesn't trend, so instead of appreciating what she has, she resents it. Not because it's bad, because it's not performable. Social media didn't just create insecurity, it created envy as a lifestyle, and here's the silent killer. What she wants isn't love anymore. It's status. It's aesthetic. It's the image of happiness, not happiness itself. She doesn't want a relationship. She wants a relationship that looks good online. She doesn't want affection. She wants public validation. She doesn't want commitment. She wants content. Her love story is a photo shoot now. And guess what that does to men? It makes you invisible in your own relationship. Because no matter what you do, no matter how good you are, no matter how much effort you put in, you will always be compared to men she's never met, in lives she will never live, in fantasies that were never real. You're not competing with reality. You're competing with illusion, and men don't stand a chance against fantasy. And here's the worst part. Every time she sees another girl get more attention, more admiration, more comments, more celebration, her happiness resets to zero. DIY. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter how you support her. It doesn't matter how much you care. A new standard appears every time she opens her phone, and her brain whispers, "You could do better." Not better in love, better in status. This is why modern women stay unhappy. Their happiness isn't internal, it's comparative. And if your happiness depends on comparison, you will always lose, because there will always be someone prettier, richer, more admired, more liked. Happiness used to be about love, family, connection, meaning. Now it's about likes, attention, aesthetic, envy, and no real relationship can compete with that. Let's destroy one of the most damaging lies modern culture has ever sold. A woman doesn't need a man. She just needs herself. Sounds empowering, right? Wrong. It's a slogan designed to look like freedom, while secretly keeping women miserable. Here's the truth. Nobody says women don't want to be alone. They don't want to grind for decades. They don't want to be emotionally self-sustaining. They don't want to build everything from scratch. They want love, security, admiration, certainty. But here's where it flips. Culture told them that needing those things makes them weak. So instead of chasing what their heart actually wants, they chase careers that drain them, boss babe fantasies, validation from strangers, a lifestyle they can't maintain, and a self-love journey that just leads to emptiness. And at 28, 32, 37, something horrifying happens. The mask starts to crack, because independence is intoxicating. Until the silence shows up, the nights get longer, the apartment gets quieter, the phone stops blowing up, the attention slows down, and suddenly, the life she built for strength starts to feel like isolation, because independence without connection is just loneliness with branding. No one says that part. And here's where the regret kicks in, when she realizes her friends are getting married, the dating market is getting colder, the attention she once took for granted is fading, and she starts to panic, not because she wants a man, but because she wants the option she spent her 20s throwing away. And meanwhile, the men, they moved on. They found peace. They like being alone. They're building, improving, leveling up. Men don't need relationship to feel whole. Women do, not because they're weak, but because women are wired for connection and belonging. That's not an insult. That's biology. But culture told them biology is oppression. So now we have a generation of women who fought against their own nature, built lives that look successful, but feel emotionally hollow. And when the loneliness hits, they don't say, "I made a mistake." They say, "Men are intimidated by me." No, men aren't intimidated. Men are uninterested in someone who confuses independence with unavailability, softness with weakness, connection with control. Say it clearly: a strong woman can love, a strong woman can commit, a strong woman can be soft. The "I don't need anyone" woman, she's not strong, she's hurting, and she doesn't even realize it yet. Let's end this with the truth no one wants to say, because it cuts too deep. Women aren't unhappy because of men. Women are unhappy because they are at war with themselves. And here's how it happened. For decades, society told women that happiness comes from having everything: the career, the attention, the admiration, the relationship, the validation, the independence, the emotional support, the power. But nobody told them the cost. Because here's the reality: you can have anything, but you cannot have everything. And the women who try, they don't end up fulfilled, they end up overwhelmed. Let's break down the happiness equation. Happiness requires peace, gratitude, purpose. But modern culture taught women the opposite. Never be satisfied, always want more. Your happiness is always somewhere else. So now we have a generation of women who are constantly chasing the next job title, chasing the next glow up, chasing the next high from being desired. And do you know what chasing creates? Not joy. Anxiety, because you cannot be at peace if your identity depends on being more than what you already are. Meanwhile, men figured something out. Men stopped chasing validation. Men stopped begging to be understood. Men stopped trying to fix love. And what did men choose instead? Peace. Quiet mornings, order, discipline, purpose, gym, work, goals. Silence that actually feels good. Men discovered the secret that women were never taught. Peace hits harder than love. Because love, in today's world, is unstable, conditional, transactional. But peace is self-built. Peace cannot be taken. Peace cannot betray you. Peace is the one thing that remains when everyone else leaves, and that is why women panic when men choose themselves, because once a man learns to enjoy solitude, to enjoy his own company, to validate himself, she can no longer control him. She can no longer withhold affection to manipulate him, pull away to make him chase, create drama to regain attention, use emotional volatility as leverage because he no longer needs her. And when a woman loses the power of being needed, she loses the identity the world gave her. That's why she calls him cold, emotionally unavailable, toxic, narcissistic. Not because he is, but because she cannot use him anymore. And here is the final truth, the one that hits like a gunshot. Doesn't fear losing you. She fears losing the version of herself she felt like when you needed her. Because when a man chooses peace, he doesn't just walk away. He evolves. He ascends. He becomes untouchable. And the happiest man in the modern world is the man who realizes love is optional. Peace is priceless.